But let's look at the team that lost the national championship. We got the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. They obviously Riley Leonard is off to playing with the Colts and in the NFL. Steve Angeli's on the move. All eyes are going to be on the quarterback. You got Kenny Minchey versus C.J. Carr. So Smoke, we'll actually start with you this time. How do you see this quarterback playing out between two young guys? There's not a lot of film out there, no experience.
I think you got to go into the season with two different playbooks. And, I mean, you got to have one for both of the quarterbacks because one's a better runner, one's a better thrower offensively. Kenny Minchey, I believe, is a better athlete in terms of running the football. And that's when you can go to your zone read concepts, your RPOs. And then with CJ, you can actually run a conventional offense. But who are you going to be? And I don't think in the summertime you can figure out exactly what you're going to be on offense, especially if you're going to run the ball with the quarterback. Because you and I both know the quarterback don't get touched. And when Kenny Minchey runs the ball, he's not a dynamic make-you-miss runner. He's a guy that seeks out contact. And when you do that, he wears on you. Running zone read with Jeremiah Love. You're going to have to see that work out in live games. So offensively, I think that in the summertime, you have two separate packages. And you go through the season about a quarter way through, and you figure out who we are then, and then you get it done.
There was a little bit of like a discovery process for Mike Denbrock last year with Riley Leonard. It felt like those two were kind of feeling each other out. As the season went on, he started to rely more and more on Riley Leonard, his athletic ability, what he can do on the ground. If you look at Mike Denbrock, think of his last two quarterbacks, Riley Leonard and Jaden Daniels, right? So if you had to handicap this race, what Smoke said, Kenny Minchey gives you a little bit more athletically in terms of what he can do on the ground. That being said, I think they have two really solid options here. And let's not forget, Stephen Jelly was in this race as well. Yeah. He bounces. He's at Syracuse. He did some really nice things when we saw him in a limited setting. The reason I say that is because they must have a lot of conviction in both of these guys. And in that spring setting, I thought C.J. Carr really impressed from an accuracy standpoint. I think he gives them more in terms of the verticality and explosive passing game. I think Kenny Minchey, in terms of what he can add as a runner, is a little bit more of a multi-dimensional attack. And you already talked about it. Jeremiah Love, the best running back in the country. If you have to defend him also with a running quarterback as well, it opens things up. So I think for Notre Dame, it really kind of comes down to offensive coordinator tendencies. You know, where is Mike Denbrock a little bit more comfortable? Because here's the thing, Jaden Daniels was also a guy that was in the same room with Garrett Nussmeier, who is a conventional pocket passer, right? And at the time, that was believe it or not, that was an open quarterback competition, yep. Right? So if I had to make a guess here, I would give Kenny Minchey the slight edge, but I would not be surprised at all if it ends up being C.J. Carr.
I mean, we've talked about this for years. You know my take on C.J. Carr. You know he would have been a 5-star on the Tom Loy rankings. No disrespect to our director of scouting, Andrew Ivins, but I'm just super high on him. Everybody I talk to in the building says that he's done nothing but get better. But a lot of the same thing is being said about Kenny Minchey. They said that this is not, I don't think anybody in that building necessarily thought to be having this discussion maybe a couple years ago. So it's pretty impressive, the growth of Kenny Minchey. I think a lot of eyes are going to be on Chris Ash coming in and replacing Al Golden. I mean, that's a huge offseason move. But I do have a quick follow-up. I kind of put your feet to the fire earlier, but you guys both love Jeremiah Love. Do you think that he can truly be a Heisman candidate and contender and maybe even finalist with such a young quarterback? Do you think that matters?
Yeah, just because you're going to have to lean on him more.
Okay.
I think when you lean on him, he's going to get the stats. And the Notre Dame's going to win games. And he's going to have his Heisman moments. So, yes, I think he'll be in New York.
I don't think either of the quarterbacks, whether it's Carr or Minchey, are going to limit Notre Dame's passing opportunities.
Okay.
So, and if anything, they might give you more upside than what you saw last season with Riley Leonard, who was very up and down at times. So you combine that with a potential running quarterback or a more open passing game and a very, very strong and talented offensive line. I think Jeremiah Love, his biggest obstacle to maybe getting to New York is his own team's depth at the running back position. You think about Jadarian Price, and you think about Aeneas Williams and some of the guys that they have in that room. It just might be what is for the betterment of the team, and how can Jeremiah Love maybe accomplish his individual goals as well.
Just want to see Jeremiah Love stay healthy, man. It's fun to watch.